Hello again, welcome back. We are going to look at the motor and the electrics today. Seeing as this is about 90 years old, this is probably the original motor that was put in it when it was manufactured. I have noticed there's a bit of a jingling sound. I can see through the air vents here that there is a collar that seems to be flapping about a bit, so we'll get to that once we get it opened. I've got it all wired back up and plugged in. Let's just see if it works. Yeah, well, the good news is it works. There's a wee bit of a burning electrical smell, but that's probably the brushes worn down to next to nothing from use. But yeah, let's see if we can get this apart. I'm not going to be able to get this pulley off today because I don't have a gear puller or a pulley puller even. So I'll see how much I can get taken apart. If not, I'll just give it a clean up just now and we'll wait for the gear puller to turn up. So I'm just going to unplug this quickly. Right, let's try and lift this out of there. There is the mount for the motor. Look at this. Now, you have the joys of watching me try to figure out what size is what. Because I'm a youngster, well, a lot younger than this, it would actually help if I was using the imperial sizes. So this is metric and imperial. Right, let's see. Oh, nearly. That was 11:56 seconds. 5/16. Oh, look at that. Second attempt. Right, well, that's not going to work. It was worth a shot. Lots of dead spiders on this as well. Ooh. Like I said, it was a ton. Now I know that this isn't the correct tool. Can you even see what I'm doing here? You can just. But right now, as I said, this is not the correct tool. I don't think I'm going to manage to get any sort of spanner or socket in here to get this undone. I need to disconnect these as well. Bugger. That's going to be a pain. Get that off again. I can't label that just now, but I can take this. Oh, come on. What else is connected? Where? So, don't tell me that there's a solder connection. There's a soldered connection. Excellent. That's going to be fun. Right, so we could have actually just left that earth one on because that's connected there anyway. Right, I think I'm going to have to unscrew this to take that off, which is going to be interesting. Let's just pop this back on here for now, so that I can get this washer and bolt back on. And like I said, I can put that what looked like the earth connection back on, because I just connected in to this end bit anyway. Right, screwdriver. Magnetic screwdrivers, fantastic invention. Also a pain in the bum sometimes, especially when you've only got one hand to do the job with. Right, so let's pop that in there, take that out, there we go. So that's the rear cover off. Now that looks like it's a wee bit burnt, but that's fine, because we can sort that out, we can clean that all up. Oh goodness, there's a ton, like I said. Right, so yeah, I'm not going to be able to do much else because this is attached right the way through. So I'm going to be pulling the entire stator out from the housing as well as that cover. So realistically, I'll be needing a gear puller to take the pulley off, take this cover off, take the stator out. So we're not going to be doing much more with this today. So the gear puller has arrived, as you can see. I've also got a new camera that I'm still getting used to, that's why it's at a different angle. So let's try and get this pulley off of here. And that is coming off quite easy actually. Nice. There we go. That is that off. Let's get the key out. Try not to lose that. I don't think I'm going to lose that anyway because it's jammed in there solid. Wow, okay, okay. Okay, that key is not coming out of there at all. So that is that. I really wanted this top cover to come off so that I could get into whatever that is that's loose. I'm trying to refix it, but it does not seem to want to come off. No. How indeed do we get that off of there? How indeed do we get that off of there? Ah, I moved the key in now. So the key is not lodged or wedged, but it does move. Just got to figure out how to get it out of there. think the thing that is loose and rattling about is the bearing cover. Don't know if you'll be able to see it. That thing just in there, bearing cover. Even this bit weighs a ton. How am I going to get that off of there? I can't see how to get that off of there. Right, so I managed to get it off. As you can see here, this here is the bit that was rattling about the bearing cover, and that bearing is full of crud. Oh, and it was dropped. Another cover covers it. I wasn't paying attention. Let's pick them up. Right, now problem is this bearing has a crack in it. Quite a crack actually. So let's just try and get this crud out of here. Yeah, that is quite the crack. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use this. It's not a roller bearing, it is just a solid bearing. I don't know what their proper name is. But yeah, I'm going to have to... I should be okay for the time being. Just to get it up and running. I mean, I was planning on replacing the motor at some point anyway. So I should be alright, but yeah, that is quite the crack. Okay, let's just try and get all this old grease up and off of here, because this is just rank. Yeah, let's just see how that's meant to go in. So that is literally just sat in there. Let's clean up this ring. Oh, I see. That's how that's what that is for. That's not for the key. That's for this. That sits down there, and that sits on top of it to keep the grease in. And yeah, that is just a compression fitting against the bottom of the shaft and the fan to keep the motor cool. Love the smell of grease. I really do love it. Right, I'm going to ask that you leave a comment below and let me know how the audio sounds on this, because like I said, I've got a new camera and this is the first time I'm using it to test it. Right, that's back on there. I'm hoping that that stays. So I'm going to put this back together and I'll be back with you in a second or two. Right, so upon closer inspection, I think there's actually meant to be some sort of spacer between the bearing cover and the fan, because that shaft is not going down any further. It is bottoming out against the bearing, but the bearing cover is still loose, so I'm just going to have to live with a potential rattle until I can either replace the motor or find some sort of spacer. So I'm just going to clean this up as best I can with a bit of contact cleaner, get all the sawdust out of here, clean up the contacts in there with a bit of contact cleaner and a toothbrush that I've got over here. I mean, the windings themselves look like they are in decent condition. I'm not seeing any burning or blackening on them. So this motor should be good to run for a while longer. Like I said, I'm just going to have to put up with a rattle for a wee while until I can get round to actually sourcing apart. take this and just pop it back in here. Now I had a marking on this somewhere with a pen that told me where it was lined up. Better rub that off. I did use a Sharpie. There's one. Where is the other part of that? Oh, don't tell me that the contact cleaner rubbed it off. I think the contact cleaner rubbed it off. Damn it. Yeah, I think the contact cleaner has rubbed that off. Which is not ideal. Line that up because I was just going by that line there. Not bad. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. Yeah, that's pretty lined up. Right, so I could now put this back on after I put the key. Well, actually, yeah, that looks pretty clean in there. So let's slide this back on. Nope, that's not what I want to do. That's pushing the shaft out, and I don't want to push the shaft out. So, how are we going to do this? Let's do this. Bring that back there so that it's a bit more centered. Now this motor cleanup is not really much of a cleanup because, like I said, it's an old motor, so I'm not going to do a massive cleanup job on this because I'm going to replace it at some point. I'm going to get a newer motor in it. Still going to be single phase as far as I'm aware, but something with maybe a bit more power after I'm used to it. This will be fine for practicing. I've just got that out of line again. Bugger. So then, this is that. Put that back into there. Right, and we are back. I've put a plug on it into a switched extension. Shall we just flick it and see what happens? I'm a wee bit worried that nothing's going to happen, but hey, let's. Oh, actually, before I do that, let's put a little bit of oil in. Let's close them over. Now let's see, does this work? Oh! That works. Now, did you hear that sort of rattling noise? That clanking, rattling noise. There. That's that bearing cover. That's what I'm going to have to live with for the time being. I think that sounds better than when I tested it before I took it apart. After the last video, it wasn't sitting right with me that I just kind of took this motor apart, cleaned it up a little bit, and then put it back together. So I went back yesterday, or the day before, I took it apart again. You'll probably notice in the last clip that when I stopped the motor spinning, this pulley wheel stopped instantly. It's not meant to do that. So I took it apart again. The oil light bearing, that's what they're called, oil light. The oil light bearing in the pulley end was a bit damaged on the inside, so I've smoothed that out with a file very, very lightly. There's no play side to side, which is good. I also made a shim or a spacer for the bearing cover. I cleaned out all the old grease and the new grease that I put in, and I've just put oil in there because that's what's meant to have. I meant to film it, but I completely forgot, so I do apologise. Today though, I'm going to be taking this out. I've got some new compression glands to go in there, but unfortunately they're a little bit too big for that hole. Doesn't quite go in, so I'm going to have to make that hole a little bit bigger. So today I'm going to do that. I've also got some, what are these called? Ring fittings for the wires for these terminals here. I'm going to change the plug when I wire it all up to a tougher one, because that white one is not really meant to be used outside of a house. Take it nice and slow. Right, let's see if this will fit now. Oh, it fits. It fits. However, yeah, it fits. We can use that. It should just be as simple as twist the wire, put the wire in there, making sure it actually goes in. Grab my wire strippers because they also have crimping. Crimper. And we just do this, I think. And then that shouldn't come off. Look at that. I might just re-crimp that again a little bit further up. There we go. So that will be a much better connection now on these wires. Right, so let us try and pop this all back together and I'll show you it working. Right, and here we are, I've got it plugged in. As you can hear, there's not much of a rattle because of the spacer, and when I switch it off, it continues to spin. It didn't do that the last time I put it back together in the last clip, because the oil light bearing in this end was a bit scored and scratched on the inside. I don't know if it was me or somebody else who'd been inside it, but it was scored, so I've smoothed that down and now it works. So that now is the motor put back together. I now just need to get it remounted, but like I said, I'm not showing you that because there's not enough space in here to show you, so you'll just see it back in there. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.